Good morning to all the students. Here in this tutorial, I'll be continuing with the same lesson from the Diary of Anne Frank where we had left. Let's begin. As Anne Frank did not have someone to whom she could share her feelings with, so she decided to write a diary. And she named that diary Kitty. She wanted her diary to be her real friend, to be her friend, so she named it as Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I would better provide a better sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So here she says that in the beginning she would like to describe about who she is, where she belongs to, because if by chance somebody reads her diary, it would be very difficult for them to understand what she means to say or what she's writing all about. So therefore she says she does not like describing much about her life, but she will going to do so. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margaret was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. So she says that her father is the most adorable person in her life. He married her mother at the age of 36 and her mother was 25 then. She also had a sister named Margaret who was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926 and she was born in the year 29, date 12 June. She lived in Frankfurt till the age of 4 and then his father emigrated to Holland in 1933. Her mother, whose name was Edith Hollander Frank, went with his father to Holland in September while Margaret and Anne were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. So they both stayed with their grandmother in Aachen. Margaret went to Holland in December and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. Plunked down on the table, it's a informal word. An informal word put down in a just casual way that she calls herself and calls herself as a birthday present for Margaret. So at first Margaret went to Holland in December and then she followed in February. I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cuperus, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. So when they moved to Holland, when Anne herself moved to Holland, she took admission in a Montessori Nursery School. She stayed there till she was 6 and then she went into first class, that is first form, and then in sixth form her teacher was Mrs. Cuperus. After passing her middle school, after passing class 6th, they both were in tears, Mrs. Cuperus and Anne, because they both were very close and they had to give heartbreaking farewell to each other. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. Like you know that Anne Frank was born on 12 June 1929 and it was 1941 and during that time her grandmother had to go under an operation. She had her birthday during that time, but that birthday of hers had to be passed with just little celebration because her grandma was not well. Her grandma died in January 1942. She says, "No one knows how often I think of her and still love her." Why she says this? Because she always kept her emotions to herself. She had a deeper feelings for everyone, especially her grandmother and her father. She says that she always thinks about her and still love her, and nobody knows about her feelings. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. So she further says that after the death of her grandmother, they also lit a candle in her memory, and rest four, that is Anne's father, Anne's mother, her sister Margaret, and Anne herself, they all were well, they were doing well in hiding. And then 22 1942 arrived, and it was a sincere dedication of her diary. Now she starts writing. "Dearest Kitty, our entire class is quacking in its boots." Quacking in its boots is an idiom which means shaking with fear and nervousness. So students, you can use this idiom in your daily life or in your writing, in your spoken English as well. So you have learned an idiom today, that is quacking in its boots, which means shaking with fear and nervousness. So she says that her entire class was quacking in its boots. Why? What was the reason? The reason was forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. So here she says that now they are going to have a meeting where teachers will decide who will go in the next class and who will just stay back in the same class. So here she has just used initials like GN, CN. She had not mentioned any name here of her classmates, of her friends, just a few names like Jax, but she has just used the initials here. So don't get confused, okay? So these are the names of her classmates. Half the class is making bets. So everybody is in deep confusion in her class. They all are deciding, they all are discussing. Like, you also can relate to it, like you also discuss with each other, you all discuss with your friends that who will going to get good marks, who will going to be in the next class, or who will going to be in the next section, which section. So these are little things that students are very curious about, that you all are very curious about. Similarly, they were also very excited and they were discussing that who will going to be in the next class, who will going to stay back. So they were kind of making bets with each other. G and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jax, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bets. So students were making bets on who's going to be in the next class, and their classmates CN and Jax, they both have put in their whole savings on their bets. From morning to night, it's "you are going to pass." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." So she says that since morning till the evening time, everybody was discussing about who's going to pass and who's not going to. So they all were discussing, they all were having bets, fights, discussion. In everybody's mouth, they were just having these lines: "You're going to pass." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." Even G's pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. So Anne says that her friend G and Anne, They both were irritated with all the discussions. G would plead other classmates to please stop this discussion, and Anne would get really angry. But they continued this discussion. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back, but teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. According to Anne, what her thoughts are regarding quarter of the class, that they all are dummies. Why she's calling them dummies? Because they are least bothered about what's going in the class, or it might be possible they would not be taking interest in the classes going on, or not responding to the teachers. So that's why she's calling all them, quarter of the class, as dummies. And she says that teachers are the most unpredictable creatures of the earth. Why? Because teachers have made those students sit in front. So that's Anne's opinion, that those students should be kept at back. But I think teachers are more smart. Why they want these students to be in front? So that they concentrate more on the lectures. They concentrate more on what teachers say and could cope up with the studies and come out with better results. I am not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We'll make it. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Anyway, we all can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So here, what is Anne's weakest point is her maths. She hated maths. She did not like maths at all. I get all along pretty well with all my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Keesing, the old foggy means an old-fashioned person who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked too much. Here, she says that she was good in study. She went pretty well along with all the teachers, where there were 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. But she had her maths teacher whose name was Mr. Keesing, and Mr. Keesing did not like Anne because she was a chatterbox. She used to talk a lot and she was very talkative. So in order to punish Anne, he gave an assignment to Anne to write an essay on a topic called chatterbox. As Anne was good in her thoughts, good in writing, when this punishment was given to her, like you can see in the picture, she quietly wrote the topic in her notebook and tucked in her bag and tried to keep quiet without any arguments. She went home, and then that essay caught her eye. She opened it. She began thinking about it. Obviously, when you are given a topic, at first what you do is you think about that topic. What needs to be written under the topic? What are the points she should focus on? Or what are the topics, or what are the things that would make her essay an interesting one? She did not want to pen down something very boring or that would not interest her teacher at all. As you know that she was very good at writing, as you can see here in her diary, whatever she had written, it was very good. So she took a pen, she chewed the tip of her fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments. She says that anybody could write anything on a topic. Like they can leave these spaces between the lines, between the words, and they can finish up the essay. But she did not want it to write for the sake of writing. She wanted to write as an effective essay, an essay that would be very interesting for the teacher to listen, to read, and that would come up with convincing arguments that why talking is necessary. As she was given a topic, a chatterbox, so she wanted to come up with points that would lead to her essay an interesting one. She wanted to show the necessity of talking, that why talking is important and it's not a waste. I had an idea. So suddenly, when she was thinking, she suddenly had an idea in her mind. I wrote 3 pages. Mr. Keesing assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. So she managed to write 3 pages on the essay chatterbox. She argued that talking is a student's trait. Trait means a quality that becomes a part of your character. So that's very necessary. If a student talks too much, it's a trait of a child, of a student. And she also wrote that she would keep this habit under control. She further says that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, that there's not much you can do about inherited traits. So she says that this talking habit is a inherited trait that has been inherited by her mother, because her mother is also very talkative. She talks as much as Anne. Mr. Keesing, after reading her essay, had a good laugh at her arguments, and then he assigned her a second essay named An Incorrigible Chatterbox. That means something that cannot be corrected. And then she wrote it again. She wrote again with convincing arguments, and then handed over to Mr. Keesing. And Mr. Keesing did not said anything to Anne for 2 whole lessons, because he was somehow convinced with her arguments. Now, during the 3rd lesson, because Anne could not stop her habit of talking in between the classes, so she was given 3rd topic as punishment, and the topic of that essay was quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. So this was the 3rd topic. The class laughed aloud. They roared in laughter because the topic was very funny. She also had a good laugh too on the topic when it was given to her. She thought that after writing so much on the same topic, she would be exhausted, because the originality and inventiveness of the topic will soon get lost, because she had written so much and she was out of words and ideas. Now, she said, now this time she would be coming up with some good idea, with something else, something original. So she had a friend named San, who was very good at poetry. Her friend offered her to help her write the essay from the beginning to the end in verse form, and verses is poetry. So she decided to write the essay, the 3rd essay on this topic, quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox, in verse form, in poetry form, with the help of her friend San, who was good at poetry. Mr. Keesing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I would make sure the joke was on him. So she made this remark here. She says that Mr. Keesing had been giving her the same topic again and again, and she knew that somehow Mr. Keesing wants to make fun of her on this subject. But she says that she will make sure that this joke was on him, not on her. She was not going to give up at all, and every time she would come up with new ideas. Every time she would come with her new words, with her arguments, and her teacher knew that it's quite difficult. Mr. Keesing knew that it's difficult to make a joke on Anne, because every time she would come with a good essay, a good arguments. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Keesing took the joke the right way. So she had written a poem at last and it was very beautiful. She herself says that it was very beautiful poem, and this poem was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings. And the baby ducklings, they quacked too much. That is why the father they were beaten to death by their own father because they quacked too much. But luckily, Mr. Keesing at the end of the poem, they took it in a very positive note, the right way. He read this poem to the whole class and to other classes also because he liked it so much. He also added his own comments, described it to the whole class. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and I haven't been assigned any extra homework. So at last, her teacher allowed her to talk in the class and haven't assigned any extra homework to her because Mr. Keesing was convinced with Anne that its talking is a trait of a child and a child should not be stopped for talking. Yes, talking habit can get under control if we work upon it, but definitely a child cannot wholly stop it because it's the necessity. Because talking can release all your sufferings, all your pain. You can share things with your friends. You can come up with new ideas. You can share ideas with each other. Yes, it's very disturbing while talking in between of the classes. She also made sure that she will not disturb her teacher during the classes. So here in this lesson, we came to know that Anne was very good at writing. She loved writing. She had written this diary, and that time she was merely 13 years old. She also acknowledged us with the uses of talking, the necessity of talking, and also that writing a diary can be very good, and it can be very helpful to cope up with the difficult situations if you face in life and you have no one to talk to. You can share things with a diary, you can write it down, you can pen it down your own feelings in a diary because paper has more patience than people. Thank you.